Okay, let's take a look at mitosis in relation to prophase. And when I think about the phases associated with this process, a good way to identify with that is to think of it in terms of PMAT, P-MAT, P being the prophase component of mitosis. And you can see within that phase, and within this diagram, certain relationships or commonalities exist. The components within this location, as you can see, start to move to opposite ends of that area, to the opposite pole. So you can kind of see that with the centriole existing in this diagram, or part of the diagram. It's beginning to spread apart and move, and this relationship begins to create the foundation through which that component will begin to divide. So when we're talking about the main parts, we're talking about things that drive this process, and one of those involves a centromere, and these are pretty important. These move to the opposite ends of that location, to the opposite poles, and they create a point of attachment. And within that attachment, we know that copies of chromosomes exist in this relationship, and those are identified as being chromatids. And these are coiled, and these chromatids physically connect to its duplicate copy at the centromere. So you can see that relationship taking place in this part of the diagram. You have that central location being the centromere, and you have the chromatids attaching to that central location, both copies. And to continue to build upon this, you have spindle fibers, and these are pretty important. These extend between the centriole pairs that exist. Once again, the theme is also consistent with the spindle fibers. They begin to move to the poles of the region that they're located within. And then finally, the spindle fibers begin to form among the chromosomes, or the copies, also known as the chromatids. And these spindle fibers form amongst those, and then with the diagram you can start to see that all of these components are beginning the first process of moving apart, which builds the foundation for that division to take place. This was a brief example of the first phase we're talking about, prophase. And once again, if you can remember that PMAT indicator, will help you identify what the phases we'll talk about in relation to mitosis. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll go start on this tomorrow in class and build towards our clinical application. Have a good night.